What's up guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm coming back at you with yet another recipe video. This is a make dinner with me. This is pretty typical of the kind of stuff that me and my family eat, so I hope you enjoy the video. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to saute up some veggies, and I just have a bell pepper, some mushrooms, a zucchini. I'm only going to use about half. Some carrots, and then also going to add in some red onion. Obviously switch up the veggies as you like. So I'm going to start by peeling my carrots because I really don't like that outer peel. Some people can leave it on. I mean, as long as you scrub it and it's clean, it's totally fine. But me personally, I do prefer to kind of peel that off before I start chopping it up. And then here we are, I'm just slicing them into rounds. This is just personal preference, but you don't want them too thick. Now guys, check this out. This is so cool. So if you haven't heard of the doctrine of signatures before, it basically is the theory that foods look like the foods or the body parts that they're good for. So if you look at that carrot, it kind of looks like an eye, and we all know that carrots are great for vision health. So it's kind of a fun little tidbit to show you. And then next I'm going to go ahead and chop up this bell pepper, and I'm just going to cut it into slices and then into little bite-sized pieces. Okay, and then I'm gonna get started on my zucchini, and like I said, I'm only gonna use about half because this thing is massive. This is from my gracious neighbors who have so many zucchinis this year. So I'm just gonna slice them up first, and then I'm gonna cut them into smaller pieces as well. And then also going to cut up that red onion. I know a lot of people don't like onion, but I really think it adds a lot of flavor and it's so good for you and adds a great pop of color, so I'm just going to go cut that as well. And then I also have my mushrooms here. I just bought the pre-sliced ones, but you can get fresh and slice them yourself. Now I'm going to add all the veggies to the skillet, just with some avocado oil over medium-high heat. You don't want to overcook the veggies because you don't want them to get mushy and soggy and gross, but you do want them to cook through, so kind of just saute them to your liking. I personally like them a little bit more crunchy. And then I'm also just going to add some salt, some lemon pepper, some garlic powder, and some herbs. So this is just some rosemary. And then I also added some thyme and some parsley flakes, but obviously switch up these seasonings as you prefer. I really like to add a lot of dried herbs in there. They're really great for your health, for detoxification, and they add so much flavor. And then now we're getting started on the chicken. So I patted them dry, and now I'm just gonna add some salt, some lemon pepper again, some garlic powder, and then also gonna add some paprika on there for some color. And then I'm just going to go ahead and do the same thing to the other side. You guys have already seen me do it. And now this is the next step. I'm going to take each seasoned chicken breast and I'm going to just quickly dredge it in some flour. I believe you could use any flour. This was just all I had right now, but you can use whole wheat flour. I'm sure you can use almond flour, any kind of gluten-free flour, whichever you prefer, whatever's your favorite. But this is just going to give it kind of like a nice little coat when we sear it on the skillet. And it's just, personally, I love this step. It's not absolutely necessary, but I think that it's it is quite necessary. So you're just going to do a quick little dredge on either side, and that's why it's really important to pat your chicken dry beforehand. Otherwise this is just going to get soggy and gross and nasty. So in a cast iron skillet, I have heated some vegan butter and some avocado oil and gotten that nice and hot, and I'm just adding the chicken to the skillet, and we're going to sear both sides to lock those juices in before we actually slow cook it to kind of cook that inside. So I'm just going to leave those in there. And then once one side is done, I'm going to go ahead and flip. Honestly, it took maybe about like 7 minutes, I'd say, to sear each side. And you can just see from that color, like, oh, they look so good. And that's from that flour dredging that really gives it that nice, almost crunchy coat on the outside with all that flavor locked in there. And then I'm just going to add a lid and reduce the heat, and this is how we're going to slowly cook it to cook the inside all the way through. Once that's almost done, I'm just going to add some lemon juice. Normally I would like to use a fresh lemon, but I didn't have any, so you use what you got. And this is just going to, again, add some more flavor to it. Now I'm lowering the heat again and putting the lid back on it. I'm going to let that sit. Now we're going to get started on our bruschetta, and that's the proper pronunciation is bruschetta. So I'm just going to go ahead and dice up some of these tomatoes. I think I only ended up using 2 of them because my brother does not like bruschetta. He's not a tomato fan. So this is just for me, my mom, and my dad. And I'm just going to go ahead and dice those up, trying to get as much of that like jelly, gooey inside seed area out as much as possible, because you don't want your mixture to be super soggy. So I'm just going to go ahead and dice all that up. So now that those are all diced up, I'm going to go ahead and add some fresh basil to the mixture. And this is straight from my garden, which is like, I think it tastes the best ever. Way better than the store-bought basil. So what I do is I just roll it up in this neat little roll up, and I go ahead and I cut little thin slices. For me, this is the easiest way that I have found to cut my basil. So yeah, this is what I always do, but obviously chop it up as you like. This is just a tip that I have learned along the way. And then I'm going to add that to the mixture of tomatoes. We're going to add a few more things to this. It's not done just yet. So get that all in there. And then we're going to go ahead and add a healthy amount of garlic. We personally really like garlic in our bruschetta, so I add quite a fair amount. Plus it's really healthy for you. And then I'm also going to add some extra virgin olive oil just to meld those flavors together and blend everything. And again, another little pinch of salt, and mix, mix, mix. This is it. Now the longer you let this stand, the more the flavors will soak in. Now my mom had picked up these ciabatta buns. Obviously I would have preferred multigrain or whole grain bread, but that's fine. We use what we have. So I'm just cutting them lengthwise, and then I'm also going to cut them in half. And you can use whatever bread you prefer, whether it's a French bread or ciabatta buns, whatever kind of bread you prefer. And then there I am, just cutting them in half. Now I'm gonna lay those out on a baking dish, and I just melted some vegan butter, and I'm gonna be adding some minced garlic to it as well. So you can see there's a lot of garlic in our meals, and that's pretty common for Italian households. So I'm just going to mix that together and adding some fresh parsley flakes in there for some flavor. Fun fact, parsley, especially dried parsley like this, is very, very alkalizing for your body, which is good to know. And then I'm just using this like culinary brush thing. I don't know what they're actually called. And just dabbing some of that mixture on each piece of bread evenly. And then we're going to pop this in the oven, and it's going to be so good. But all these flavors together, guys, I'm telling you, it is so good. I'm just putting that on every single slice. And then you can add more, you can add less. I used about like a tablespoon or 2 of vegan butter. Checking back in on the chicken. Look at that, guys. This looks so freaking good, and let me tell you, it tasted that good too. But you can kind of see that like shiny coating on the outside of the chicken. That's just locking those juices in, and that again is from dredging it in flour really quickly. So these look absolutely delicious. I had popped these in the oven for like maybe 10 or so minutes at 350 just to get a nice little crunch, nothing too burnt or too crazy. And then all you're gonna do is you're gonna add that tomato mixture on top. Now I didn't do it for every slice because, like I said, my brother is not a fan of tomato, so I did not put it on every single slice just so he would enjoy. But I mean, can we just look at that? Can we just have a second to look at that? And oh, I don't know about you, but my mouth is watering. This is so good. And then here's my dinner put together. I also just made a really quick salad of just some lettuce because yeah, that's what we like to have on the side. We have that pretty much every single night. So there's my half a plate of veggies, my little bit of carbs from the bread, and my quarter of my plate is protein. So that's kind of how you want to set up your plate. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys test out some of these recipes. Let me know in the comments, and until the next video, see you later.